Hi aspirants, welcome to a new lecture. In this lecture number 33, I will discuss new topic Internal Security Part 3 in GS Mains Paper 3. We will cover internal security in multiple videos to make it comprehensive as possible so that it will help the aspirants. Internal security as a subject is of prime importance in UPSC Civil Services Main Examination Paper 3. The introduction of various topics related to the internal security challenges of India clearly shows the importance of these issues pertaining to national security. In this video, we will discuss India's defense and security policy, India's security objective, key elements of internal security, and internal policy doctrine. This video will expose the aspirants to all essential and important concepts for understanding India's internal security challenges. Please watch this video till the end. Let us first discuss India's defense and security policy. The defense and security policy is a process by which a country deals with any threatening situation. Conventionally, the policy dealt only with external threats originating from an unfriendly state, but now in the current scenario, the defense policy also includes internal threat situations. India's security interests arise from its historical and geographical factors and its political and economic relations with other nations, its resource dependence as a nation of large working population. These interests keep on changing with the dynamic world scenario. India, a strong nation with the world's largest democracy, is characterized by its international responsibility for peace and freedom. India has enshrined in its constitution values such as freedom and democracy. Being an active member in various international organizations, India pursues its quest for a safe and better world. India's security policy is based on its constitutional values of secularism, democracy, socialism, peaceful coexistence, and pluralism. The central pillar of security policy is the strategic autonomy. The police are inclined towards non-military alliances but will select strategic partners. It is always the negotiated settlement which is preferred. The employment of the force is the last resort. Now we will discuss India's security objective. India's security objectives are first, to protect the citizens from security threats that arise in and out of the country, and also to secure public and private properties against the destruction caused by anti-national enemies. Second, to safeguard the nation against the threat of conventional and non-conventional weapons. Third, to apply the principle of punishment and to enhance cooperation with neighboring countries to work together on various threats and violence. Fourth, to strengthen India's strategic arms and systems to neutralize threats and for counterattacks. Indigenation will help the nation to be independent from others, and this has caused many problems in power sharing between the center and the states. Economy is the major reason for the emergence of threats to internal security, but is never considered to be a part of the security policy. The lack of coordination between the center and the state affects the security policy. This lack of coordination affects the implementation process of law enforcement, making it totally ineffective. Inefficient governance also affects the framing of the security policy. Less participation of the members of civil society, non-governmental bodies, and people from grassroots level lead to such policies that do not reflect the actual reality and the true aspiration of the people, which is more likely to fail. Now we will move on to another topic, which is key elements of internal security doctrine. To formulate an effective internal security policy, we need to include the following elements in our internal security doctrine. First is political situation. Second, socio-economic consideration. Third, governance. Fourth, police and other security forces. Fifth, coordination between the center and the state. Sixth is the collection of intelligence. Seventh, border area management. And eighth is cyber security management. Now we will discuss each element separately. First is political situation. The political situation in some areas is disturbing. Identifying the nature of challenge is important, and it can be on the basis of regional demands or secessionist, separatist tendencies. Identifying the cause of such movement is the key, and it has to be made sure that the demands are within the constitutional framework. The state should deal separatist movements with a heavy hand, and separatist movements should not be engaged in dialogue. The government must have a proper policy to handle such situations effectively. Measures have to be taken to heed regional and ethnic demands if the demands are within the legal and constitutional framework. The second element is socio-economic consideration. It is generally argued and sometimes accepted that socio-economic consideration forms the basis of many internal security threat scenarios. The discontent of the people is genuine as they face shortage of jobs, money and food. These cases should be handled using a different approach. The reason of the agitation should be analyzed and grievances should be addressed. It has to be ensured that the fruits of development are spread without discrimination and the value of equality enshrined in the Constitution is upheld. Third element is governance. Anti-state movements launched by some motivated elements are due to lack of good governance. The people develop ill feelings towards the state because of bad practices like nepotism, corruption, etc. Mismanagement of government funds, inefficient implementation of laws, and misappropriation of the schemes act as a trigger. To bring in accountability and transparency, it is highly essential to ensure people's participation in governance. Now let us move to the next element, which is police and other security forces. Analysts point out that in most cases, police and other security forces are not sensitized. These forces do not understand their role as a public servant and do not work towards the attainment of a common goal. They act piecemeal under a regimental system. Sometimes they are poorly trained and not motivated to face armed extremists, which in a number of occasions ends in police excesses and custodial deaths. These are few amongst many that are to be included in the new security policy. Therefore, it is essential to make amends to the police and other security forces to make it effective in addressing the people's need in a transparent and neutral manner. The next element is coordination between the center and the state. It is arguably the lack of coordination which is a recurrent theme that magnifies threat situations. This affects the supply of which is necessary for the functioning of the security apparatus of the state. Thus, the security policy needs to address these issues of lack in coordination and cooperation between the center and the states. The sixth element is intelligence. Intelligence is one of the key components of internal security. Correct and timely intelligence is essential to keep in order both external and internal security threats. Without the backbone support of the intelligence, no mission can succeed. Intelligence of both forms, defensive and offensive, is needed to forewarn and to take proactive steps to the impending threat and to ensure that the situation is under control. A nodal agency is the need of the hour to collect, gather, and efficiently utilize all vital strategic information effectively which contains any threat. The seventh element is border area management. Border area management is an emerging area. India has large and porous borders with neighbors. These regions are exploited by various insurgent groups from Kashmir and the northeast region, who hide in jungles across the border. There is huge trafficking of drugs, arms and ammunition since India is located in the middle of the Golden Crescent and Golden Triangle. The porous sea borders of India, like the coast of Gujarat and Tamil Nadu, are conducive for smuggling. Complete coordination is necessary between various organizations and agencies to protect the border region. Coordination of the Navy, Coast Guard and the Marine Police is necessary for the effective management of sea routes. The eighth element is cybersecurity management. Cyberspace is considered the next ground of warfare, which is the most vital instrument to prevent or cause a threat. The proper cybersecurity policy is essential when we encounter the likes of the Edward Snowden issue. Threats come from anywhere and any form, and cyber threat is one of the most distressing security threats. Thus, an effective security policy is needed, and the Department of Electronics and Information Technology has formulated the National Cyber Security Policy 2013 in the best interests of India. Now we move to another topic, which is internal policy doctrine, essential aspects. All these policy measures serve to protect the nation against the threats which could have an impact on internal functioning. Only an internal policy doctrine that covers the overall defense and security system is competent to manage the threat. Each and every group has its own uniqueness and ideology, which makes it tedious to formulate an internal security doctrine. We can separate it into two categories, that is the physical and the psychological. First, we will discuss the physical. Physical comprises military capability, that is intelligence gathering, good governance, and economic growth. Psychological component is readiness of the people to support the government in its initiative and ideological countermeasures. Now let us discuss the physical component. The first element is military capabilities. It is the capability of the military to counteract the threat. It includes traditional military and internal security forces like the police, reserve police forces, and other paramilitary forces. It is necessary to modernize these forces to counter escalating threats. They must also be motivated to deal with civilian population because without their support, any counteracting measures will fail. Second element under physical component is intelligence gathering. Intelligence gathering is an important constituent in dealing with any sort of threat. Intelligence means information which is useful and important. Thus, intelligence provides an insight in dealing with insurgent activities. Counterintelligence measures entail military action and also help us analyze the ideology of anti-state movements and counter it effectively. Central intelligence agencies like the Intelligence Bureau and the State Police Intelligence are set up in India, and the key to fight terrorism is to collect accurate information and share it among all the stakeholders. The third element under physical component is good governance. Good governance is necessary to counter the internal threat by involving grassroots organizations and civil society bodies. The voice of unheard populace will be heard only if concerns of grassroots people are addressed so that we can create an atmosphere of trust. Corruption, nepotism, etc. alienate people and political and bureaucratic accountability is in question. Our security policy should address this governance lacunae so that this will not be the reason to wean away people to carry out anti-state activities. Another element which is of prime importance is economic growth. Economy determines the status of people, their condition and the activities they carry out. Economic development and wealth distribution have a vital role in determining the internal security policy. Economic growth has not reached the targeted section of the people, thus alienating the vast population. Such alienation causes people to sway away easily and take up anti-national activities. The main reason for youngsters to join them is the lack of a job and lack of their place in the economic ladder. Thus, when a government creates an internal security policy, it must not forget the inclusion of the implications of the economic development. Now we discuss another component, which is a psychological component. In psychological component, the first is people's. In psychological component, people's support of government initiatives is very crucial. Here, the role of people is very vital, that it should be considered in the security policy, else it is bound to fail. Without the support of civilians, any insurgent movement is short-lived and can be easily shattered by the state. Enlisting civilian support is not a physical component, it is a psychological component as it involves the change in the mindset of the people. The effort of the government to secure civilian support is time-consuming and can be achieved by providing them with the fruits of growth and good governance and employment. This effort of the government sensitizes officials who deal with the people directly and ensure that they serve the public honestly. Winning the hearts and minds of the people is the beginning of ensuring support of the people towards government initiatives. That is all for now. There are many more exciting changes to come, and we are looking forward to sharing them with you. As always, I welcome any feedback as to how we can better serve you for superlative performance in civil services exams. Thank you for continuing to be a part of our journey. Keep evolving.